If you are desiring to tap into your infinite inner knowledge for the purpose of expressing yourself more fully, and you are not quite sure how to go about it, click on the link below and book a session with myself and my spiritual team, and we would be honored to help you on your journey. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time joining me, thank you. I hope you stay. I hope you find the information that I'm going to share with you helpful. My greatest joy and my intention is to help you rise to your potential. And with that in mind, I connect with higher consciousness in order to bring forward information or messages that may help you achieve just that. And the way this works is that the information that I channel is going to help you recognize certain aspects within yourself that may have been previously invisible to you or unknown to you, but aspects of yourself that are, in particular, the ones that are standing in your way or limiting you from experiencing your life to the fullest of your potential. And we are made up of layers and layers and layers upon layers of conditioning. And the idea is that the more layers we work through, the closer we get to experiencing and embodying our true power. And at the end of the day, if you're here listening to this type of material, at least on some level, on a cognitive, logical level, you have some idea, or at least you have heard, that we are powerful beings. And the type of power I am talking about is not the one that is attached to the ego or is identified by the ego. It is the essence, the purity of who we are beyond our conscious awareness and beyond our physicality. So if you are interested in feeling more empowered, and notice I said feeling, not being, because you are powerful already. But if you are interested in embodying more of your power, then I hope the information that you will hear here, you will find helpful. And I would love for you to press the notification button to let you know when I upload new information. Subscribe. It helps to grow the channel. It helps to spread this information to essentially more individuals. And the more each and every one of us begins to truly embody our innate power, the more I believe, and I believe my belief is shared, we will create a better world. Essentially, that's what it's all about. If you are, pardon me, I've got a bit of a cold, so you might have a sniffle or two, which might drive you crazy, drives me crazy, pardon me. So please forgive me. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Without you, there would be no need for me to do this. And I've said this so many times, and I will keep saying it for as long as I do this, which my idea is never to retire from this. Without you, I wouldn't do this. And when I tune into this higher frequency in order to bring forward this information, it is where I feel at home. Okay? So today is going to be 3 piles. The energy feels different for me. Not in terms of better or worse, it's got nothing to do with that, but it feels different in terms of the way it wants to flow through me. So I recognize that as my own inner world is changing, and therefore the way I receive and perceive information is also changing. So I never know what I'm going to channel. Well, sometimes I have an idea, but today I don't know. Other than the information is supposed to be helpful. So let's see how it goes. You will be choosing a pile or all piles if that's what you feel drawn to, and see what each pile has for you. If you would like to hear more of this channeled information, I have an extended version that is on the link below. It's absolutely free to you. So if you are interested in hearing more channeled information from my team, then just click down below and you'll be taken there. If you already subscribed, you will be receiving this in your email box. Also, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Yes, if you haven't yet registered or got yourself the transformational tools that I offer, which again are absolutely free to you, click down below and just get yourself situated, if you will, and download the 5 or 6 different items or processes that will ultimately help you to know yourself better. And from what I'm hearing, this information is turning out to be very helpful to a lot of people. All right, so without, and of course, if I've been asked so many times, do I offer private sessions? Yes, I do. There's a link down below. If you would like to have a private session with myself and my team in order to help you tread through this world, then we would be more than honored to help you with that process. So without further ado, let's move on to the 3 different piles and let's see what we get. All right, if you are drawn to pile number 1, I am using 3 different decks today, and I have pre-shuffled the cards, and I read cards intuitively for those of you who don't know. So I will go through each card, and each card will represent a message that is of importance to you. And the very first thing I hear for you, pile number 1, is the idea of fortitude. English is my second language. I've heard this word many, many times, but I don't exactly know what fortitude means. So look up the idea of fortitude. I know it represents a certain strength, but you are in a process of developing your own fortitude. I'm actually going to look that up, because if I don't, it will drive me crazy. So I'm sure many of you already know what that is. Fortitude, courage in pain or adversity. All right. What does that mean for you, pile number 1? Does that mean that you are going to be experiencing pain or adversity? No, it's absolutely not a prediction, but what it does mean is that you are likely experiencing your own challenges, because the whole world is experiencing massive challenges right now. So developing fortitude will allow you to move through these challenges with a little bit of ease. It may necessarily be easy, because challenges are meant to be challenging for a reason. This is where you realize your strength. But the image I'm being given is climbing a mountain. So obviously the very idea of climbing a mountain means that it is a challenge. To climb a mountain, particularly a fairly steep one, which is what I'm seeing for you, takes courage, takes dedication, takes perseverance, and it certainly takes strength. And the more baggage we have on our backs, or the more our backpack is filled with stuff, the more we will feel resistance as we climb up this hill. And of course, that's a metaphor. So the idea here for you, pile number 1, is to look what's in your backpack. What are you carrying? And look at it carefully in order to examine, is this really what I need to or want to take forward as I climb up this mountain? So why do people climb mountains? First and foremost, it's almost always for pleasure. Now, you will say, well, I'm not being challenged, or I'm not challenging myself for pleasure. Life is not challenging me and I feel it's pleasure. No, it may not be pleasure, but it is something that is very important for you to go through in order to, for some of you, understand your purpose, become more aware of your strengths and your abilities, and in order to experience how higher level of awareness, which leads ultimately to a higher perspective. And everything is about perspective. So let's go through each pile, each card, and let's see what each card represents. Returning the favor. You are here to remember who you are in order to recognize that within yourself and ultimately to share that with others. Because who you are is shared with everyone and everything. You are spark or expression of all that is, or some call it consciousness. You are forthcoming with information that has been unavailable to you up until this point. So as you are going through your specific challenge or set of challenges, thank you, they're just reminding me to pay attention to something. So I'm going to pause for a second. I am feeling a little bit of a discomfort in my lower back towards right of my side. And I'm hearing the word kidneys. For some of you, you may be experiencing discomfort in that area. This is not to say that you have some issues with kidneys, but it does denote that kidneys to me are also very symbolic in terms of storing certain vibration. And kidneys are very much associated with the energy of fear and anxiety. And when we store an energy of a certain vibration and we don't transform or digest this information, then this frequency, and frequency is creative, energy is creative, then that frequency, that energy, or that energetic block, if you will have a tendency to create blockages in the physical body. So some of you may have experienced some challenges with your kidneys. Kidney stones, I'm seeing and hearing flushing of kidneys. I don't know if there's such a thing as kidney cleanse. I'm sure there is. Obviously, drinking lots of water, purifying your diet. And when you start to cleanse your kidneys, so please look up information on how to cleanse kidneys. And I'm hearing in an affordable way. So you don't have to go to some place who sells a service that's very expensive. This is something that you can do for yourself. But essentially, when you begin to the process of clearing your kidneys, you will likely have an emotional overspill. What does that mean? It's going to feel like all of a sudden a whole bunch of emotions spill out of you, emotions you didn't even know you had, or feelings you didn't even know you had, particularly fears around issues of money. So kidneys are your sacral chakra, I'm pretty sure. They may go, kidneys are your sacral chakra. It's also tied to the idea of womb. So there might be some emotional challenges that you are experiencing as a result of holding on to certain frequencies that have situated themselves, for lack of a better word, in that particular area, in your kidneys or your womb. So some of you may have had experiences of a physical nature where something was medically attended to, or some sort of, I want to say the word anomaly. And again, I want to make this very clear. This is not a prediction. This is not me saying something is going to happen to you in those areas. What this is saying is that there is already something there that's worth investigating. And I just hear the words a lot of fear. So how does this connect to this card? What happens is when we project a lot of fear, because we are very magnetic and like attracts like, when we project a lot of fear, we identify ourselves as a fearful person. And the way we identify ourselves as is a universe's, how do I say this, please? Like attracts like. So if you project a lot of fear forward, the likelihood of magnetizing situations to yourself that are also fear based, there's a good chance that we will do that. So what is this message asking you to do or suggesting you to do? This message is suggesting that, encouraging you to look at your fears, particularly fears around money and fears around motherhood. You being a mother, your own mother, the idea of motherhood, okay? Because as long as you are holding to a lot of energy of fear, you will not be as willing to exchange your energy with others. You will hold back. And you will also not be as likely to exchange your energy with the universe. And everything is a relationship. So you have a relationship with yourself, you have a relationship with others, you have a relationship with things in your life, you have a relationship with the universe. So everything is how we relate to things and situations. Any fear-based identities is something that would be very worthwhile for you to look into right now. Why is it important? First and foremost, in order to truly let go of a fear and to transform a fear, we first have to identify what the fear is. So you might have a lot of fears around money. And if money represents to you safety and stability and security, which it does for most people, for a lot of people, then that means that you will have a lot of fears around your own safety and stability. And if you have a lot of fears around safety and stability, you will not feel safe in your body, and you will have a very hard time creating safety in your own environment. Okay? Like attracts like. You are being helped with this right now. There are other forces at work that are looking after you, however you want to look at it. I'm hearing the words being, so there's other beings working with you on that. For many of you, this may not be something that you are aware of. This is not something that will be necessarily visible to you, but you will be, and probably already have, received a lot of signs. I'm seeing repeating numbers, 888, 777, 555, waking up at certain time of the night, or waking up from a dream and remembering that it was way more than a dream, that you visited some place and you know it wasn't just in your dream. So you are being helped a lot in this transitional process in order to help you release yourself from your fears. Now, fear in and of itself is very useful. It serves a purpose. It helps us stay alive. I'm talking more about the types of fears that we identify with because of the experiences that we have had. And if we hold on to these fears because of the experiences that we have had, then what we are essentially doing is we are holding on to our past. And anything that we are holding on to in the now, because everything is in the now, there's no future, there's no past, everything is in the now. Whatever we are holding on in the now is very creative. It's a creative force. And then we use that energy, consciously or otherwise, in order to create our future. Okay? So if you are a very fear-filled person around safety, security, and money, then it's very important for you to take a look at that and to examine all the different components that make up this fear for you. And there's layers. There's many, many, many layers. Fears of not being enough, fears of being a failure, fears of failing, which is interesting because in my experience and the 20 plus years that I've worked with clients, by far, majority of people are fearful of success more so than failure. And there's various reasons for it, but one of the most predominant reasons is that if we identify ourselves as failures or having failed, or we fear failure, then we are holding on to some kind of identity that is limiting to us. And whatever we're holding on to, whatever we identify as, is usually what we create and is what we expect. So if we were to create something that is opposite of what we are holding on to, which essentially is part of our identity, then in the process of success, our ego that identifies itself as failure has to die, has to be transformed. And that is a scary proposition. Okay? For those of you who have done some deep shadow work, you will know exactly what I mean. For a regular person who doesn't really have any understanding of it, it's going to make absolutely no sense. But chances are this is not you, because in order for you to be attracted to this vibration, you have to have some pretty good understanding of how the universe works and how the mind works, and everything is mind. You are also in the process of recreating yourself from inside out. So it's basically the same message. You are looking at your cobwebs, which is areas you have not looked at for a while. That's why cobwebs are formed when there is no activity. And you are shedding light on certain problems within yourself. Now I'm saying problems in quotation marks because you don't have a problem. You're actually perfect just the way you are. But you identify yourself with certain problems. Anything we identify ourselves as, it's going to be repeated. So this is the message for pile number one, for card number one. It is also the end of a cycle for you. I mean, most people I talk to these days are at end of their cycles. I mean, the whole humanity is going through an end of a cycle, a very long cycle. And with each cycles, there are plenty of opportunities to leave the old behind and to welcome something new. And that's the space in between is called the transition. And transition is usually where the challenges arise. So you are for sure going through your own unique transition. 9 of Wands. This is a beautiful card. So I'm not a tarot reader, so I don't read I don't read tarot the way they're to be read. I'm going through it purely intuitively. So the first thing that I see is a lot of fire. Fire is passion. Passion ignited. But fire can also burn. Too much fire can be detrimental. Too little fire can also be detrimental. So the message is here for you to be cognizant how you use your fire. Fire is power. So the question becomes, how do you use your power? Do you use your power in empowering ways, or do you use your power in destructive ways? And we have ability to do both. Generally speaking, we are not consciously aware of how we use our power. We often give our power away, or actually that's a technically incorrect statement, because you cannot give your power away, because you are power. What you are doing, you're not giving up your power. What you're doing is you are denying yourself the power you have. That's very different. And you give your power to others, but you can't technically give your power away. What we do is we choose to not be in our power, and we all have reasons for that. For some of you, you may have chosen a long time ago to not use your power, because when you did, and you were in full expression of your power, you were shamed, you were ridiculed, you were put down, etc., etc. And that's just speaking in this lifetime. In other lifetimes, there is probably quite a few of you that have yielded power in perhaps not so constructive ways. I've talked about this before. I've had many lifetimes where I was a brutal person and I severely abused my power. So a lot of my gifts have been withheld from me until I got myself to a point where I would become more of a balanced person, so that when these gifts would be opened to me again, I would use them in empowering ways versus disempowering ways. So the question for you, pile number 1, is, how do you use your power in disempowering ways, either towards yourself or towards another? That's a very important question. And we often don't think about these things when it comes to ourselves. I mean, when was the last time you asked yourself, how do I misuse my power when it comes to me? When you neglect yourself and you don't take care of your needs, that's using power in disempowering ways. When you call yourself names that are putting down, when you are harsh on yourself, when you beat yourself up, as an example, you are essentially using your power in disempowering ways towards yourself. And this is critical for you to acknowledge right now. Why? Because when you become conscious of how you use your power in disempowering ways, in the moment of having consciousness awareness of that, you have a choice to do it in empowering ways. You may not know exactly how, because you haven't practiced it, and there's information is everywhere. Obviously, there's millions of videos and books and teachers who will share with you for free how to use your power in empowering ways. But at the end of the day, whatever is shared with you has to be applied. Because if it's not applied in your daily life, it will just be information. So your responsibility right now is to look at yourself and notice how you use your power in disempowering ways, whether it's towards yourself or towards another. Okay? Details, 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 and it is in reverse. So what this is asking you to do is to not overlook any important details. The thing that I'm hearing here is don't consider yourself unimportant. Because when you consider yourself as unimportant, and I don't mean the I am important ego, I don't mean it that way. But when you consider yourself as an unimportant person, which would be part of your identity, you end up neglecting yourself. When you neglect yourself, you will end up suffering. Think about it this way. Anything you deem as unimportant, you will not attend to nearly as much as to the things that you deem important, right? So if you consider yourself to be unimportant, if your identity is that your self-worth is suffering, if you have been told or made feel like you are less than, then this would be a very opportune time for you to look at these aspects of yourself right now and not neglect yourself anymore. Okay? When we neglect ourselves, sooner or later, our bodies are going to pay for it. Your emotional bodies, your spiritual bodies, your physical bodies, your mental bodies. So it's important for you right now, pile number one, to recognize that A, you are a very powerful person, and you yield power every single day, by the way you structure your thoughts, by the way you think, by the way you treat yourself, by the way you are kind or not kind to yourself. You use your power every day. But because most of what we do is coming from the space of our unconsciousness, you are likely not even aware of how you use your power every day in disempowering ways. So this is time for you, as you are approaching an end of a cycle, to understand and realize that the way you treat yourself is also an invitation for how others will treat you. And the way you treat yourself on an unconscious level will be an expectation of how you will be treated. So if you have a tendency to put yourself down, and you would do that because it's part of your identity, then you are likely to attract situations to you that will make you feel put down. So very important information for you, pile number one. This is about looking at your relationship you have with yourself, which is the relationship you have with your own power. Remember, you are a powerful being. You can deny it. Yes, that is your choice. You have free will. But if you deny the fact that you are power, which means if you are it, it belongs to you, you have it. If you deny that, you're not going to benefit from the powerfulness that is you. And you will be creating your life in less than powerful ways. And you might be envious of people who create life in powerful ways. You may envy people who feel empowered or powerful. The only thing that they're doing different is they're recognizing their own power and they're choosing to yield it accordingly to what they're wanting to experience. Okay? So that's a big message for you, pile number one. Okay, pile number two. This is going to be message or series of messages for you. Let's see what information we have for you. The first image that I'm getting is one that tells me that it is time for you to learn how to trust your intuition on or strengthen the relationship you have with your intuition. An intuitive you are an intuitive person. And I always say, this is what's been said to me by my team. Your intuition is your soul's language. It's how your higher self communicates with you. It's how other beings communicate with you. It's how God, angels, universe, whatever you want to call it, communicates with you. So if you don't trust your own intuition, you are essentially cutting yourself off from tremendous level of information that could be very useful and very helpful in your life. I used to, and I still do to some extent, struggle with trusting my intuition. Even though I've done this for 20 plus years, 25 years now, I still have moments of doubt. It is so deeply ingrained in me. And it's just something that's part of my path. And not trusting one's intuition can make our life a lot more difficult. Because if we're not trusting our intuition, then we are only resorting to our head. Now, nothing wrong with our logic. It's beautiful. But our head is where the small mind is. The mind that is connected to our humanness, our physicality. And because it is connected to our physicality, it's limited by its very nature. So if we only function from our head, from that which we know, and there is so much more than we know, than we don't know. In other words, what we know is this much, and how we know is everything else. And trusting your intuition allows you to tap into all the unknown, which is often very, very helpful. So trusting your intuition, pile number 1, is your first guidance. The second card is, or the first card is leaving home. You are at the end of a cycle, which again, everyone is on some level, whole humanity is. And you are entering a new field. Now, when I say this, when I say you're entering a new field, it almost feels to me like it's a field that has to do with your work. So some of you will connect with this as in leaving your current career or job or even location and moving on to something new, something else, something that's far more expanded. Now, and hence the word graduation. This is like a graduation. You are basically like a little bird that is about to leave its nest. You are about to fly and explore the world. So pile number 2, you are in the process of becoming a lot more independent. What does that mean? Well, you are independent already. You take care of yourself, you look after yourself, you buy groceries, you buy gas, you pay your bills. I don't mean that sort of independence, although for some of you, that could be the case, but that's not going to be majority of you. This is the kind of independence that I'm talking about, is one where you don't feel like you have to look to others for validation anymore. And that is a beautiful place to be. Because when we're constantly seeking validation, it just denotes that we are not sure of ourselves. Now, please don't misunderstand. I am also an earthly person. I'm a Taurus after all. That's not to say that validation isn't important. Sometimes I need validation for where I'm at, and it's 99% of the time just validating what I already know. But it makes me kind of go, okay, this feels good. So I'm not saying that you should not receive validation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about constant seeking validation from outside or from others. And it feels like you have arrived. You've come to a point of your own human evolution where you feel no longer the need to do that nearly as much. That's the sort of independence that I'm talking about. And in order for you to get to that place, because you're likely coming from the opposite, needing constant validation, in order for you to arrive, if you will, to graduate, you had to go through certain sets of tests, let's say, certain challenges. Think of it just like in class. You graduate from high school and you go to college or university. In order for you to enter college or university, you have to have certain knowledge behind you. You can't just go from, not going to high school and then all of a sudden go to university, because you're missing a whole bunch of information and a lot of things are not going to make sense to you. Okay. So in school of life, it denotes that you have gone through a lot. We all have in some way. Obviously, some people far more than others. And I don't mean to compare. It's not about comparison. But it feels like you've arrived. You're coming home now. You're feeling like you've arrived in this space where everything is new, yet it feels strangely familiar. It's a feeling. And you are feeling at home now. So to feel at home also denotes comfort with yourself. And if that's the case, and what I'm being shown is you likely have done a lot of heart healing. I'm being shown broken heart and then healing the heart, and really looking at the different aspects of the pain in order to deal with it effectively, to transform it and to heal it. And we usually need validation when we feel small, when we feel insignificant, when we feel unworthy, where our own sense of who we are suffers. And what I'm here right now, you either are getting to a point where you are suffering no more, or you are in the process of getting to that space where you will experience a lot less inner suffering. Okay? And what I'm being asked to say is that more often than not, we experience suffering because of resistance. Now, there's various forms of suffering. Some people suffer terrible lives, and that's a whole different discussion. But the message is that more often than not, suffering is the result of resistance. So perhaps for the longest time, you have resisted looking at yourself. And because of that resistance, you have experienced a lot of things you may not wanted to. But remember, everything in the universe has its place. Everything is of value. Doesn't matter how small, how big, or how we humans qualify it as good or bad. That's just our human awareness. Everything in the universe has its place. Everything is of value. It is essentially part of consciousness itself. So whatever you have gone through, regardless of what has happened and whether you looked at it or not, has served a purpose. And you are in a space right now when you are beginning to recognize how this purpose has been served. And as a result of recognizing the purpose of your experiences and what you've gained from those experiences in terms of wisdom, you are releasing yourself from your past. And this is the greatest form of healing, is to relinquish ourselves from our past. If you had nothing but positive experiences in your past, you're not doing that. But there's probably one person in the world, maybe, that experienced nothing but positivity, because that's not what Earth is about. We are here in polarity for a reason. Okay? So essentially, what's happening with you, pile number 2, is you are returning to home. But home is not a place. Home is a state of being. You are beginning to feel full of yourself. I don't mean ego. I don't mean that. Full of your light, full of your truth, full of the bigger truth, full of your potential. And by choosing to examine your beliefs, you are realizing just how powerful you are. And one way to see just how powerful you are is look at your experiences and then look at the underlying, usually unconscious, sets of belief systems. And what you'll realize is that they are correlating, parallel, one and the same. In other words, what you believe, what you deeply hold as your truth, you will express to the outside, and the outside will bring it to you in 3D form. That's how powerful you are. Now, I know some people will say, well, if I'm experiencing terrible circumstances, does that mean that I made it happen? Yes and no. When it comes to universal laws, on a purely energetic level, yes. But that is not to say that as a human being, you created some terrible circumstance. Not on a human level. Your soul has chosen to experience this, and for the most part, most humans, when they deal with very, very difficult challenges and they don't have a pretty good understanding of spiritual laws, universal laws, they're going to have an extraordinarily hard time accepting this. I do sometimes have a hard time accepting this, especially when I look at the horrible things we do to other humans and to animals. The human Joanna has extremely difficult time with that. Very difficult time with that. Nonetheless, I understand that there is a higher purpose behind it. And at the end of the day, the soul never dies. So the soul goes through these experiences because it knows nothing is going to happen to it. It's different for the physical vehicle. So I get that. So this is your message number 1. Message number 2, wishing well in reverse. So this is representing the element of water. The element of water is significant of emotions. Your emotions create a certain vibration. With that vibration, that frequency, we create. So if you have a lot of limited emotions, if you have a lot of negating thoughts about yourself, if you are pessimistic, if you call yourself derogatory names, then that is the frequency that you are vibrating at. This is not a blame, it's not a criticism, it simply is how the universe works. As a matter of fact, I think it's the 5th principle of Hermetic principles. No, it's the 3rd one, the principle of vibration. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. You are a vibrating being, and you have a certain vibratory signature about you. Okay, the universe sees you as a vibrational signature. It doesn't see you as your human flesh. And it is on this basis that it responds to you. Like attracts like, another law, universal law. So the more lower vibrating emotions you hold within you, the less you are allowing yourself to be available for higher frequency experiences. I'm going to give you an example. If your fundamental belief, not the conscious one, it's usually unconscious. If you're one of your fundamental beliefs, which is part of your structure, which is part of your identity, is I am not good enough, then that's in comparison to I feel great about myself, that's a far lower vibrating frequency. Again, it's not about good or bad, it's just levels of vibration. So the more you hold on to that identity about yourself, the more you will vibrate on that frequency level. Which means when it comes to law of attraction, like attracts like, if you're trying to attract a beautiful, loving, respectful relationship, which its frequency is high, but you're vibrating lower, this is what's going to happen. It's not a match. It doesn't matter how much the universe wants you to have this. You're either going to miss it because it's a different in vibration, or it's going to come to you and you're going to get rid of it because it's fundamentally not according to your truth. You won't be able to hold the higher vibration. Okay? So in essence, you need to learn, well, you don't need to do anything, but it would be advisable. You need to learn your current corresponding frequency. In other words, how do you vibrate? And the best way to look at that is to take an inventory of your belief systems. Conscious, and then have someone help you with the unconscious ones. I was asked just the other day by a client, how does one tap into deeply unconscious belief systems? Usually, for the most part, it's extremely difficult to do it on yourself. And that's because those are unconscious aspects. And if they're unconscious, they're not seen by you. So it's very difficult for you to work with something you can't see. Generally, for most people, you'd have to be guided by somebody through a process in order to help you see it or realize it. Okay? But that's how it works. We need people to help us sometimes. So your job is to figure out how you're vibrating right now by taking inventory of all your belief systems, good, bad, and indifferent. And ask yourself, is this how I choose to vibe going forward? Here's the thing. There is no judgment, whatever you choose. Absolutely none whatsoever. If you're not feeling great about yourself and you're not experiencing abundance on all levels. Now, experiencing abundance does not mean we don't have challenges. Of course we do. But we experience challenges while having abundance. Okay? Let's use that example. So if you are not experiencing abundance on all levels, on many levels of your life, then you need to look at the corresponding vibration you hold within yourself. Because if you are attracting unabundance, then you are essentially a magnet for that. It's got nothing to do with deserving. Absolutely zero. The universe doesn't care whether you deserve or don't deserve because it doesn't exist. It primarily functions on the law of frequency and vibration. The universe doesn't care whether you believe or don't believe. It doesn't, you don't need to qualify for abundance and pass a test. No. What you have to do is you have to vibrate accordingly. And if that vibration does not meet or match the experience of this other vibration, then you're simply not a match. So in order for you to be a match, you have to raise your vibration. How? By first realizing your truths you hold about yourself. The self-negating and self-limiting thoughts you have about yourself. The self-limiting beliefs you have about yourself. And I always say, I'm going to remind you, as long as I talk, what you believe about yourself is up to you. You're the boss of you. So, do you use your power in empowering ways, or do you use your power in disempowering ways towards yourself? That is the question you need to ask yourself. Because you are at a graduation point. You are about to enter a new space. Vibrationally speaking, it's very different, but it's not a given. It's saying that there is an opportunity for you to step up. But in order for you to step up, you have to let go of something. Okay? So you are in a very auspicious space right now to be able to attract to you more of what you want, especially if you have not been able to do it before. And you will do it by first and foremost taking inventory and examining your deeper truths. Because this will help you realize how you have been manifesting up until now. Okay? Very powerful exercise. Two of Cups in reverse. What I hear is breakup. Some of you may have not dealt with a breakup from a past. Could have been your parents. And that has really limited your ability to attract a beautiful relationship. So that's one message. The second message is about the relationship you have with you, the yin and yang. Are you in support of yourself, or are you someone who puts him or herself down? Look at it this way. When we put somebody down, knowingly or consciously or unconsciously, intentionally or unintentionally, usually the person doesn't feel great. So when you put yourself down, the idea is for you not to feel great. So ask yourself this question. Why would I consciously or unconsciously choose to not feel great? Why would you choose to not feel great? The reason why I'm using the word choose is because how you feel is up to you. I don't give you a feeling. Feeling comes from you. It's your response or reaction to me or to the world. But although you may have triggers, you can control that. You can control your emotions. And I don't mean control in suppressing. That is not a healthy way of controlling. That's not what I mean. Let's use the word in charge. You are in charge of your emotions. You are in charge of your feelings. Feelings are never good or bad. They simply are. And sometimes you will feel that you don't want to feel, but how long you choose to stay there, that is entirely up to you. Do you want to feel bad about yourself, or do you want to feel like a winner? Do you want to feel bad about yourself, or do you want to feel like a winner? As an example. So let's take this further. What does feeling like a winner feel like? What would a feeling of being a winner feel like? Okay, I'm not saying you have to win anything. Just an idea. Imagine winning something. A tournament, a game, money, prize. You won something. Most people will feel this excitement as I'm feeling right now. And the opposite of that is feeling bad about yourself. So when you feel bad about yourself, you feel bad. The question is, what do you choose? What do you prefer? What would you prefer or choose going forward? Again, I want to make this emphatically clear. This is not a blame. This is not a criticism. This is about recognizing the power you have to change your circumstances. Does that mean if somebody hurts you, you shouldn't feel sad? No, it doesn't mean that. But if you stay there, if you keep on staying there, if you keep on staying and staying and staying and staying and staying there, then that is all you will experience. You cannot experience feeling dry when water is being poured all over you over and over again. You're going to feel wet. So in order to feel dry, you have to step out of the shower. Okay? Of course, that's a very simplistic explanation. Now, again, I'm not talking about, God forbid, losing somebody and somebody telling you, oh, you shouldn't feel sad. No, that would be absolutely stupid and ignorant. No, feelings have their place. When it comes to losing somebody, and by all means, I'm not saying that will be happening to you at all, just an example. You have to go through the grieving process, and sadness is one of those things. But it doesn't mean you're going to remain feeling sad for the rest of your life. You will have moments of sadness, yes, but you will also have other experiences. So that aside, if you're mad at somebody, that is a certain frequency, that is a certain vibration. If you are angry at somebody, that is a certain frequency, certain vibration. If you have been deceived by somebody, that is a certain frequency, certain vibration. And if you stay there, that is what you are perpetuating over and over and over and over and over and over again. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have felt sad, that you shouldn't have been mad, you shouldn't have been angry if someone deceived you. I guess, absolutely, yes, those are very normal and expected ways to feel. The thing is, if you stay there, if you hold on to it, if you keep on holding on to it, then that is what you will keep on feeling. And the question is, do you want to do that? And you have the power to decide that. Okay? So that is it for you. Pile number 2. Hello, pile number 3. This is going to be a message or messages for you. And the first thing that I'm being shown as I'm tuning into pile number 3, I am seeing a road be unfolding in front of you. And this to me is suggesting that there is a new path that is revealing itself in front of you. And for some of you, this feels unexpected. For some of you, it's something you've been waiting for, but for whatever reason, you are in this space right now where likely a new path is going to reveal itself to you. And this is what I hear. This path is worth taking. So you will be questioning, you will be wondering, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? That will be a very logical process. What I would invite you to do, if you resonate with this, is look within your heart and do this exercise. Imagine yourself taking this path and see how it feels. And imagine yourself staying where you currently are and see how it feels. Because you are about to make a very big step. And you're about to make a very important choice. One that will be very creative, a lot more creative. And one, what I'm hearing is that will prove your worth to you. Isn't that interesting? So pile number 3 looks like or sounds like you have some worth challenges within you, self-worth. But at the end of the day, don't we all to some degree? So this path will be illuminated to you, which means you will be able to, you won't be able to see very far. In other words, you won't be able to see where this path leads you. It's like you step on this path and you take step by step, and as you take steps, the path reveals itself to you. So it's a bit of a mystery. It's a bit of a mystery. Pardon me, my sniffles. So if you are dealing with making a choice, or if you are going to be presented with a path, what I'm hearing for you is that this is a path worth taking. It's a new condition, a new set of circumstances. So it's a brand, for some of you, it's a brand new career path. For others of you, it's a path that leads to a different destination, as in leaving your current physical domain, your house, your home, and moving to a new province or a new state, or a new country for that matter. You are changing location. And if you are changing location, you are not taking a lot with you. You are leaving some things, a lot of things behind. So it looks like you might be selling stuff, putting stuff in storage. And I just keep hearing your path is illuminated. So whatever this is for you guys, sounds exciting, but it sounds a little bit mysterious, which is part of the fun. Okay, pile number, ha, 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 ha. Okay, so first card. Courageousness. 1 and 5. 1, new beginnings. You are in a process of manifesting new beginnings, which, and I hear career for some of you, which is going to create a change. And you are being asked to tap into your courage, especially when it comes to belief in self. So some of you might be reluctant to take this new path because you are not sure of yourself. You are not sure if this is going to work out. You are not sure if you're making the right decisions. And this is often a very critical point, because when we are not sure of ourselves and we are presented with something new, and when we are not sure of ourselves, we don't trust ourselves, our intuition, which I believe pile 1 or 2 talked about. So you might want to check that out. We will have a tendency to reach out to other people in order to tell us what to do. I would very gently caution you against that. Here's why. Because even if someone tells you what you should do, how do you know that it's the right choice for you? So you're either going to trust blindly the person, which you could, but it's a little bit like going with blindfolders on, okay? On the other hand, if you go and ask somebody for guidance, they give you guidance, and then you say, thank you, let me check with my intuition, and intuition says, yes, this is for you. It's a far more powerful or empowered way of making a choice. Now, obviously, there are times in our lives where we are faced with certain decisions and choices, and we have a hard time deciding because there's various components that come into it. And in those situations, I would absolutely encourage you to speak to someone who can help you realize your own answer, to help you connect with your own intuition, to help you connect with your own inner guidance and inner wisdom, because it's there, so that you can make that choice. And what I'm hearing is be responsible for your choices. Don't put that responsibility on somebody else. And because it came up in reverse, I have a feeling that for some of you, you're going to waver. You're not going to know what to do. You're going to be running in circles, undeciding, and you're going to drive yourself crazy, which is what we have a tendency to do that when we are unsure. Examine your relationships. And our relationships are also based on frequency. Are there some relationships in your life that are of lower vibration? And it's time for you to part ways. This could be work. This could be personal relationships. This can certainly be a relationship you have with yourself, because that is one of the most important relationships we have in our lives. And decide what you want to do, what you want to do. And when I say this, it feels to me like you have been in the habit of doing things for others often, and often choosing to put yourself on the side. Perhaps you don't deem yourself as important enough. And if that's the case, you're going to have a challenge choosing or making this choice. But you are being asked to be courageous. You are being asked to tap into your courage. Let me see what else is there. Safety security is very dominant here. So as you are presented with this new path, your fears around safety and security, primarily financials, and roof over your head, so that's basic needs, is those are going to be triggered a little bit for some of you. And it feels like you're going to be questioning your ability to take care of yourself. Perhaps you are leaving a relationship where you relied on somebody to take care of you, and now you're deciding, I want to experience being more independent person. And you are going to be faced with a lot of firsts. The main one being the choice or decision that you are about to be making. Okay? So that's first card. Second card, we have the Hermit. I'm just tuning into this card for just a little bit longer, so just bear with me. You have within you what is necessary in order to make the right choice. And this will be somehow illuminated to you. I'm hearing the word self-criticism. So you are likely someone who is heavily criticizing themselves. If that's the case for you, and it's usually a habit, or it's probably a habit from what I'm sensing, ask yourself, how does this criticism serve me? Because as you embark possibly on this new path, you're going to have to leave this criticism behind, because it's going to make it challenging for you to be and embrace this path fully. Okay? I feel like you are entering a new arena. For those of you that you can connect with, with this message, I feel like you are entering a new arena, quite possibly an arena where you will be standing in front of many, many people. It doesn't have to be you standing on a stage as an example. It may be that you will be visible on YouTube or social media platforms. And for those of you who connect with this, it's going to feel a little bit intimidating at first, to say the least. Okay? And they're showing me your throat chakra. And this visibility has a lot to do with what you have to say, what you have to communicate. And it's a risk. You're taking a risk. There's no question about it. But it's a fruitful risk from what I see. You have a lot to give to others. But from some reason, you have chosen on some level to hold yourself back from expressing this gift that you have. And part of you criticizing yourself is you keeping yourself small and invisible. So now watch this correlation. You're coming from a place where you are keeping yourself small and visible, and there's a plethora of reasons why you do that. We all have our reasons. You may not be conscious of them, but there's a reason, absolutely reason, okay? And it served you at some point. So you are coming from a place where you're keeping yourself small, and what I'm seeing for you as your next path, your new path, is you are becoming visible for many, many, many people to see you, and your voice is very important. You are likely someone who is going to speak out about certain something or certain subjects. And this speaking out doesn't involve just you. It involves other people as well. Not quite sure what that means, but that's what I'm being asked to say. So you're not alone in this. This could be a situation where you're going to be a part of the group and you'll be presenting something to the world. For some of you, I hear film industry. So you might find yourself in entertainment industry or film industry somehow, and you're going to be on camera, which would make sense that you will be visible to a lot of people. Don't let the visibility scare you. If you have nothing to hide, then it's not going to be as scary. If you show up as your authentic self, if you show up as your true self, you are showing up at your best. Your best is the best you can do. So the question for you is, are you being your best to yourself right now? Are you being your best to yourself right now? Well, if you heavily criticize yourself, I would not say that's being your best to yourself. You can be discerning, you can learn from your mistakes in a compassionate way, just like you would help a dear friend understand a mistake they made. You wouldn't beat them over the head with it. You would gently let them know and compassionately that maybe they could have done something a little bit different. And how you deliver that would make a difference versus if you were just to pound them over the head. So you're being asked now to look at the relationship you have with yourself in terms of how do you serve you? And how you serve you is going to be equivalent how you end up serving the world. You're here to serve the world. So if you are someone who has a tendency to keep themselves small, you're coming out of hiding, babe. Hate to tell you, but you're about to step up in a big way, and I'm getting chills as I say that. And that's going to be scary, which is why you're being asked to have courage, because you have what it takes. And part of you knows this, but there's a part of you that doesn't want to believe it. And that part of you that doesn't want to believe it is identifying with your small self. Okay, so we all play parts in our movies. Movie being our life in this earth, on this earth. And there is a small part that is playing out in your life. It has its reasons, it has its purpose. Perhaps you needed to keep yourself small in order not to get hurt when you were young. Perfectly normal explanation. And that has helped you. That has helped you move through some difficult circumstances. But now, it no longer serves you. It actually limits you. You need to look at that because you have a lot to offer to the world. And I don't mean this is something small. So I don't know who you are, obviously. If this makes sense to you, just comment down below, because it's fascinating to me when I give these messages, but I have no context. I'm just spewing words, basically. Comment down below of how this connects with you, and let me know if this is triggering some fears in you. Because if it is, then we're poking the right buttons. And if this doesn't apply to you at all, if there's no connection, you wouldn't be triggered. So notice if you're being triggered, and what are the triggers. Maybe what's being said here is something you already know, but it's now in your face, and it's like you can't hide from it. Of course, remember, you have free will, you have choice, you can choose to not step on this path. But if you don't, chances are you will not feel fulfilled. Not a criticism, it's your free will. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to encourage you. Okay? Be okay with who you are. Don't try to pretend to be someone you're not. And many people do that. We do that for various reasons. We want to belong. We want to not feel rejected. We want to yada, yada, yada. We all do it. It's all beautiful. But at a certain point, it limits our potential. Okay? So this entire session today is all about recognizing how do we use our power in limiting ways. So that when we recognize it and we see it and we're conscious of it, we can choose differently. We can choose to use our power in empowering ways. Last but not least, slow and steady. You're going to take this leap of faith. And it is a leap of faith. You're going to take it. You're going to take it slow. For some of you, it's going to take some time for you to get used to the idea that you have a lot to offer to the world. Even though I believe that you already know that, you've always known that, but it's been suppressed for various reasons. But time has come where your soul says, I think we're ready now to be seen by the world. And this is not a small statement. 1 and 2, new beginning. 2, choices. 1 and 2 represents 3, expansion. It's the Empress in the tarot. It's receiving of new and different gifts. As you step on this path, whatever that is for you, new gifts and new skills are going to be revealed to you. Things that you have within you but have been suppressed. Notice she's a snail, but she also has wings. So she can choose to go as slow as she wants, or she can choose to fly. She has that option. And that is also something that is an option for you. You can choose to go slow, or you can choose to use your wings, metaphor, and fly. Flying also represents seeing things from a higher perspective. Here's what I'm being asked to say. It's time for you to see you the way the universe sees you, as a powerful creator. You have such immense power, and I've got chills all over me. You have such immense power, you have no freaking idea. And that's likely what's scaring you. By far, most people are terrified unconsciously of their power versus not having power. I have experienced that. It was terrifying, like, I'm not going to say swear words, but it was one of the most terrifying things that I've experienced, is to experience a tiny portion of my power. It was so big that I was literally terrified. And when I asked, why am I so terrified of this? They said, this is what they say when they say you're afraid of your own power. And the reason why I was so terrified is because I felt my ego was not going to handle it, was not going to be able to handle it. So, are you ready to be seen? Are you ready to show up powerfully? Are you ready to let go of self-neglect? Because when you neglect self, you are neglecting yourself. You are using your power to neglect self. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Why? When it doesn't feel good. Habit. Unconsciousness. Don't know any other way. Get it. Granted. Yes. But now that you know, you have a choice. Choose differently if you choose to, or stay where you are. No judgment whatsoever. None. Zero. But there's an opportunity for you to experience more of you, more of your potential. Do you not want to see and experience just how powerful you are? Or perhaps that's what's so scary. Perhaps the very fear of you being powerful keeps you small, because the moment you realize your power, this part of you that's small has to die. It has to transform. It has to go through the process of ego death. That's why we fear being powerful. Sorry, not being, embodying, because we already are powerful. Embodying our power. That's why we are afraid of embodying our power. Because in order to embody that power, our smallness has to die. And that's not a small thing. It is very shattering to the ego. It is a very powerful experience. For those of you who have gone through ego death, I have gone through a few of those on various occasions. It is not comfortable, but when you move through that passage, because it's a passage, and you get to the other side, the world is a different place. And the only way you can know that is if you can experience it. There's no amount of words that will be able to effectively qualify that statement. It has to be experienced. Okay? So that's what I have for you. Pound number 3. Again, if this was helpful to you, I would love for you to click the like button, notification button, subscribe, share it with a friend or two. If you want the extended version, click on the link below. If you would like to work with me and my team, click the link below. And I look forward to seeing your comments, especially how it connects with you. And I look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye-bye. If you are desiring to tap into your infinite inner knowledge for the purpose of expressing yourself more fully, and you are not quite sure how to go about it, click on the link below and book a session with myself and my spiritual team, and we would be honored to help you on your journey. Thank you so much, and have a great day.